Alright guys, it's Skin. Today we're taking a look at the Vela incident. On September 22nd, 1979, the United States Vela satellite orbiting high above the Earth detected a double flash of light in the remote South Atlantic, near the Prince Edward Islands. The sensors, bangometers tuned specifically to spot the optical pattern of nuclear explosion, recorded a sharp initial impulse, then a slower secondary bloom from expanding ionized air. The instruments triggered with what internal reviews later called high confidence. But beyond the single satellite signal, almost nothing else appeared. No seismic waves reached distant ground stations, no radioactive clouds were picked up by aircraft sampling the atmosphere in weeks that followed. One layer of detection captured something, everything else stayed quiet or empty. The Vela satellites were part of a Cold War system built to monitor atmospheric nuclear tests after the 1963 Partial Test Ban Treaty. Vela 6911 placed the flash roughly at coordinates 47 degrees south, 40 degrees east, an empty patch of ocean with no known test ranges and no population land nearby. U.S. intelligence assessments from October 1979, including input from the Naval Research Laboratory and Air Force Technical Application Center, gave the optical signal a high probability of being a low-yield nuclear detonation, even while noting the lack of supporting data from other sensors. The aircraft, WC-135B Constant Phoenix, flew 25 sorties over the Indian Ocean from late September into October 1979 and found no trace of radioactive debris in the air. Routine monitoring of sheep thyroids in the southern hemisphere later turned up something odd. Lower levels of iodine-131, a fission byproduct with an 8-day half-life, appeared in animals slaughtered in southeastern Australia, specifically Victoria and Tasmania, during October and November 1979. The levels were statistically above background, confirmed by gamma spectroscopy, showing clear energy peaks, and the concentrations decayed as expected for fresh fallout. No matching traces showed up in New Zealand sheep. Weather pattern reconstructions show a narrow plume from the flash site could have drifted over southern Australia, with rainfall washing particles into pastures where the sheep grazed. Other signals existed in less conventional channels. U.S. Navy Hydroacoustics Array, SOSAS and MILS, picked up faint underwater disturbances with bearings and timing that lined up with flash locations. The sound traveled efficiently through water but did not produce strong enough seismic coupling to register as body waves on land-based seismographs. The Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico recorded an anomalous ionospheric wave on the morning of September 22nd, propagating in a direction consistent with the event coordinates. The signals were low amplitude but persistent, with arrival times consistent with propagation from the Prince Edward Islands area. A White House panel led by MIT professor Jack Runa reviewed the data and concluded the flash was probably not nuclear, suggesting a meteor entry, a superbolt lightning strike, or a partial malfunction in one of the satellite sensors. The reason was missing multi-sensor confirmation and some unusual characteristics in optical readings. Declassified documents released over the years showed internal disagreement. Some CIA and intelligence estimates put the chance of nuclear explosion at 90% or higher. A detailed 2018 study in Science and Global Security by Lars Erik de Geer and Christopher M. Wright re-examined the radionuclide lab notebooks from sheep thyroid samples and the hydroacoustic descriptions. The paper concludes the combination of the double flash, the iodine-131 detections, and the acoustic pings is still best explained by a low-yield nuclear test of about 2 to 3 kilotons in international waters. A later analysis of Nimbus 7 satellite data from 2022 noted trace effects in the ozone layer roughly 16 minutes and 44 seconds after the flash, which aligned with what a small atmospheric detonation might produce. The location, the middle of nowhere ocean, close to South Africa's Prince Edward Islands, made it a convenient spot for a covert test. South Africa was deep into its own nuclear program under apartheid, building a small arsenal of devices by the late 1970s, and had its own uranium resources from its mines. Israel, widely believed to possess nuclear weapons by then, but never admitting it, had technical expertise and motive to test without drawing international attention. Declassified U.S. documents from the era and later oral histories hint at the possible joint effort, Israel providing design know-how in exchange for South African uranium supplies. The low-yield 2 to 3 kilotons fits a tactical or proof-of-concept device, not a full weapon. Testing in international waters minimized fallout spread and seismic detection, while the double flash pattern matched known low-yield atmospheric or near-surface bursts. The official U.S. response stayed vague. The Carter administration faced a delicate moment, acknowledging a test would force confrontation with allies or non-signatories to the Non-Proliferation Treaty, potentially unraveling diplomatic efforts. The Runa panel's non-nuclear conclusion gave cover, even as internal estimates leaned the other way. No government, neither Israel nor South Africa, has ever confirmed involvement. South Africa dismantled its program in the early 1990s and joined the NPT, allowing IAEA inspections that found no test evidence on land. Israel maintains its policy of nuclear ambiguity. The event simply lingers as a persistent anomaly, documented enough to fuel debate, ambiguous enough to remain officially unexplained. The sheep thyroid detections are particularly strange. Iodine-131 doesn't appear naturally in that way. The levels were low but clear, and the timing and geography fit a southern hemispheric plume. Hydroacoustics and ionospheric ripples add layers that meteor and lightning explanations struggle to cover fully. Yet no smoking gun fallout cloud, no seismic rumble, no admission. It feels like a glitch in the record. Something happened, registered on sensitive gear, then faded into redactions and plausible deniability. In a world of satellite eyes and global monitoring, an entire nuclear event slipped through with only partial traces. The double flash is textbook for detonation, yet the absence of fallout clouds and seismic data let non-nuclear theories persist. Independent researchers keep returning to it. The 2018 paper revived the nuclear case with fresh eyes on old data. Ozone anomalies noted in 2022 fit the profile of small burst stratospheric shock. No major revelations have emerged since, no new declassifications that settle it definitively, but the probability estimates from experts tilt toward a test rather than nature or malfunction. It raises questions about what else might have happened in remote oceans during the Cold War. How much gets buried under classification, and why some flashes get explained while others just drift. The traces accumulate, optical, radionuclide, acoustic, atmospheric, without forcing a conclusion. The Vela incident sits as a reminder. Evidence can pile up across multiple domains, yet the official narrative can remain open-ended. Something registered on instruments. The consequences never fully appeared in the open record. Alright guys, that's it for this one. Tell me what you think, and I'll see you next time. Deuces.